Hello and welcome to Nationwide on NTA. I'm Naja'atu Tijani. Remember that this broadcast is also being streamed live on our website, nta.ng/live. You can catch the replay on our YouTube channel and follow all our social media handles displayed on the screen for updates. We begin with regional news. President Bola Tinubu has this Tuesday received a report from the ECOWAS envoy led by former head of state General Salami Abubakar, who visited the Nigerian military junta as part of ongoing efforts seeking solutions to the political crisis in Niger Republic. President Tinubu, who is the chairman of the bloc's authority of heads of state and government, received the former head of state and the president of ECOWAS Commission, Omar Toure, while the national security advisor to the president, Nuhu Ribadu, also attended the meeting at the State House. General Salami Abubakar believes the effort of the bloc led by President Tinubu is yielding results towards an amicable resolution.
I must say that our visit to Niger has been very fruitful in that it has opened an avenue to start talking, and hopefully we will get somewhere. We made their own points, and then I made my report to the chairman of the ECOWAS Heads of State and President. He will now consult with his colleagues, and then the ding-dong starts, and we'll get somewhere. Hopefully, diplomacy will see the better of this thing. Nobody wants to go to war. It doesn't pay anybody, but then again, you know, our leaders have said, if all fails, and I don't think all will fail, we'll get somewhere. We'll get out of this mess.
Meanwhile, Vice President Kashim Shettima is in Johannesburg, South Africa, to represent President Bola Tinubu at the 15th BRICS Summit of Heads of State and Government, where he was received by the South African Deputy Minister of Justice, John Geoffrey. The Vice President will be joining other business and political leaders across the world at the summit scheduled for the Sandton Convention Center, Johannesburg, from August 22nd to 24th. The summit is expected to deliberate on issues of trade and investment, sustainable development, and global governance reform. It will also continue its outreach to leaders from Africa and the Global South as it focuses on global geopolitics, trade, and infrastructural development. The Vice President is accompanied on the trip by some senior government officials. The federal government continues to place measures which will guarantee a better future for the country, with efforts to soften the impact of ongoing reforms for widows and other dependents of fallen heroes also being prioritized. Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu stated this when she received wives of service chiefs and the acting Inspector General of Police in the villa. Ogogo Musa, wife of the Chief of Defense Staff and National President of the Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association, DEPOA, who led the visit, said they were in the State House to show their support.
Providing quality education in our barracks through our various group of schools, amongst other activities we embark on.
The labor of Nigeria's heroes past will never be in vain. This is the solemn pledge the First Lady renewed with her guests as she announced plans by her initiative to provide needed interventions.
We have about 10,000 on the list. We don't know the number, but in whatever way we can reach them, it could be through you, that we can ask you to bring them to Abuja, or a number of them, and we see what we can do to them, because we really truly want to help, because it's an area that women especially, that they are quite neglected and also relegated, and I want to commend you all for also remembering them.
In keeping with tradition, the First Lady was decorated as the grand patron of the various associations led by all the wives of the service chiefs and the police. State House correspondent Adeni Taiwo reports that the First Lady also granted audience to the newly sworn-in Minister of Women Affairs, Uju Ohanai, and her tourism counterpart, Lola Ade John, who were in the villa to seek her support for the actualization of their respective mandates.
And we can't fail because we hold Asiwaju to our hearts. We know his plan for Nigeria. It's a very wonderful plan. And he brought us in as his soldiers to perfect those plans and make sure we totally eradicate poverty in the country and empower women. That is what we are doing.
The programs that we're going to put together will be aligned with some of the activities that she herself is planning through her office, where we will engage in more employment opportunities to support the women, how we are going to support them and their well-being.
The fight against illegal oil bunkering by the federal government is withstanding the fight against illegal oil bunkering is ongoing by the federal government, and notwithstanding the huge investment on security to contain the menace, the activities of oil bunkerers and thieves remains unabated. The United States Environmental Protection describes oil pollution as one of the deadliest forms of air pollution with health implications. Worried by the effect of this economic sabotage and impact on the environment, the Rivers State government and security agencies have declared a total war on operators of this illegal trade. Robinson Deratidi reports.
Illegal oil bunkering remains a challenge to Nigeria's economic growth amidst its attendant impact on environment and health of the people. Nigeria's security forces' efforts at combating this menace appears not to be yielding the desired results. Only recently, some criminal elements in attempt to siphon a multinational petroleum product pipeline resulted in a fire outbreak.
What we are even confronting at the moment is the fact that none of the government depots is functional.
We know one major responsibility that has been put upon us is the fight against crude oil theft. There is no doubt that on our part, we have done well, and that has translated to better production.
Of concern to some is the alleged involvement of security personnel in aiding and abetting the crime. Keen observers want to see a deliberate action from various security high commands sanctioning erring personnel and in turn winning the loyalty and support from the populace by way of credible intelligence that will see to the end of this economic sabotage in the Niger Delta region. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
Now we'll be joining Port Harcourt live, where Robinson Deratide is standing by at the Uboboro jetty for more on the impact of oil bunkering. If you can hear me, Robinson, the fight against oil bunkering has been a lingering one. Now tell us a bit more about how they operate undetected, despite the heavy presence of security personnel like you outlined in the preceding report.
Thank you very much. As you can see, I am presently at a jetty in Port Harcourt. Now, this jetty is having a lot of security agents, particularly Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. The essence of mounting this jetty is to ensure that whenever any vessel is passing, they will be able to sight it and arrest it. But it is difficult to believe that despite the presence of these security agents in the waterways and even on the land, the issue of oil bunkering has remained unabated. There are a lot of reports that security agents are also part of the business, although not confirmed. But one major concern to the people is the fact that this oil activities is causing serious havoc in the lives of the people and in the livelihood of the people. Now, when you look at my right-hand side, you will see mangrove trees. Now, some of these mangrove trees are already drying off, not because of the weather condition, but because of illegal oil activities. These rivers you see is also the livelihood of many of rural dwellers. They bathe and drink from this river. And oil activities is seriously polluting the water, which has severe effect on the health of the people. But the measures put in place by government is commendable, but not up to curbing the activities.
Robinson, one thing you pointed out, considering the environment, is how well the locals who engage, those rather, who engage in the illegal oil activities know the creeks, they know the ins and outs, and they can swim as well. Could you shed a little bit more about this, and also what the authorities are doing to tackle this particular strategy which they use?
The truth is that these illegal oil activities are carried out by the local themselves. They see it as opportunity to make money, even though they know the effect it is having on the health of the people. But the percentage of people who are involved in this activity is not as much as everybody. You will remember a few years ago that Port Harcourt suffered seriously as a result of a suit. Suit was caused by illegal oil activities. And during the previous government, the government was able to fight it, and what we discovered is that they moved to the hinterlands and the creeks where they are still operating. Apart from the involvement of the locals in these activities, the military agents also have been blamed on the fact that when they seize vessels, they set it ablaze on the environment again, thereby devastating and destroying the environment. I have with me an environmental rights activist, a very renowned environmental rights activist in Rivers State, Akobari Celestine. Comrade, please, can you just tell us in a specific time, what do you think government has not done to stop these illegal activities? What else do you think government can do?
Well, government has not taken any action to punish those caught. Few months ago, Tompolo released video of vessels that have been taking millions of barrels per day since 1999 to today, who have been arrested since Tompolo released that report. What has government done to do that? You know, we are always blaming the victim. Community people are the victim here. I can tell you from my experience as a Niger Delta activist that live here, that what is polluting our creeks, 1% of it is not caused by community people. Community people don't have the money to fund that kind of business, because I mean, it's not treble, it's not chewing gum. We're talking about crude oil that is sold in Europe. How many community persons can hire vessel or hire security men to police the vessel?
Comrade, apart from the major oil activities, the local oil bunkering is not a major one. We have seen many local peoples that are also involved in it. What can you say about that?
I'm not saying that community people, I've told you that community people are the victim here, that their involvement is not up to 1% of what is destroying this mangrove you have seen, or destroying the economy, the local economy of the people. It's not up to, what they do is to, the little one that they tap is what they just cook and say, yeah, how much is they like taking my old shirt and taking one button out. What the community people are involved in is just one button of this old shirt. The old shirt and the other buttons are with the oil company officials themselves, those that are regulating them, and the security people and government people. I mean, that kind of vessel that Tompolo.
All right, Robinson, I'm afraid we're running out of time. Robinson. And these issues are issues which have been revisited over and over again, especially considering the fact that your report says that government effort is making way. We'd like to see more reports and updates on some of these allegations, and thank you for the update. The federal government is determined to deploy available resources towards ensuring Nigeria is food secured. Musa Aliu reports that this is reflected in the ministry's mandate, which has been changed to include food security.
Between 1999 and 2023, 17 ministers have been appointed to drive government's national policy on agriculture. The name of the ministry has also been changed thrice from the Ministry of Agriculture and Water Resources to Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development, and now Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security. Abubakar Kyari from Borno State, Minister of State Aliu Sabi Abdullahi from Niger State are the new ministers for the ministry.
The biggest hope we have is the political will driven by the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Our target is not only to secure and feed the country, but also to export food, which we have that potential.
The rechristening of Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development to Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Food Security is not without a purpose. Mr. President has already declared emergency on food security, and I'm sure when we get down to work, we'll understand the import of our nation.
They have come to hit the ground running.
The mandate of the ministry is to provide enabling environment for effective and productive food production activities, make inputs available, as well as pest and disease control in crop and livestock. Musa Aliyu, NTA News.
Still on food safety and security, Nigeria is in partnership with a foreign-based institution to develop a vaccine against livestock, foot and mouth disease. The research for the vaccine is being developed through the Nigeria Veterinary Research Institute, VOM. Again, Musa Aliyu updates us.
Foot and mouth diseases are major health challenges affecting livestock development in Nigeria. Veterinary medical practitioners say the disease is highly infectious and capable of reducing animal productivity, especially milk production.
It is very infectious. It can spread to a large number of animals, and it can affect all what are called cloven-hoofed animals. So cattle, sheep, goats, swine, pigs, etc., etc. And it can cause severe production losses. And internationally, it's responsible for many billions of dollars of loss.
Experts in the field of animal medicine converged on Abuja to review and strategize on how the vaccine can be produced and made available in the next few months. The research for the vaccine is being carried out under the supervision of the Nigerian Veterinary Research Institute.
The federal government has put in a lot of funding for the training of our staff, for ensuring that we include FMD in as one of the vaccines that we produce to be able to control the disease in Nigeria.
Nigeria has a track record in the production of animal consumables in prevention and treatment of animal diseases in Africa. Musa Aliyu, NTA News.
It's time now to join our Lagos Network Center, where Adiola is standing by with more on Nationwide. Hello, Adiola.
Hello, Najatu. Welcome to Lagos. Investing in the capital market and seeking alternative returns, among other strategies, will serve as safe haven during this time of persistent increase in the general price levels. Financial experts gave these suggestions as a way to mitigate inflation in the country. Amaka Owo reports.
Capital market reacted positively to the reforms made by President Bola Tinubu-led administration, which include harmonization of the naira and removal of fuel subsidy. However, there has been issues of domestic and importation inflation, which rose to an all-time high of 24.8%. Highest upward contribution came from the food and non-beverages sector. It was put at 12.47%. Experts say there is need for more disposable income as a way to stay afloat.
What people can do is to look at other alternatives, things they can do to be able to generate returns. Look at what you can do. One, maybe engage in agriculture for those that can do even subsistence agriculture to be able to provide certain things for yourself.
We advocate capital markets as a way that, or as an alternative to savings. If you come to the market, you pick the right kinds of assets. And we do have several asset classes as well, from the not very risky to the somewhat risky assets, depending on your taste.
They urged government to redouble efforts for an all-inclusive economy, as they say there is light at the end of the tunnel.
On the government side, I think more effort needs to be made in securing our main source of foreign exchange, which is the oil, crude oil market, and making sure that the production volumes are sustained and increased to our threshold within our OPEC quota, and then as well as securing the oil to be sold and for us to get the income back into the central bank.
We have to make sure that we are building an economy that creates jobs for people, because people need to have jobs to be able to afford to take care of themselves as well as their families. And once we put the enabling environments in place, we're able to leverage on the assets and investments that we have. We think that we can grow the economy, bake a bigger cake so that there'll be a lot more for Nigerians.
It is expected that the Nigerian economy will experience a rebound going by measures put in place by the present administration. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
As part of preparation for the forthcoming Kogi State governorship election held in November 11, 2023, the governorship candidate of the Social Democratic Party SDP, Yakubu Muritala Ajaka, has assured Kogites of a new dawn as his administration will bring succor to the people of Kogi State in all ramifications. Diana Ajale reports that the governorship candidates gave the assurance when he visited sons and daughters of Kogi State residents in Lagos.
Known as the Confluence State, aside its agricultural production, Kogi State is blessed with natural resources capable of eliminating the sufferings of its people.
We are a rural state. We shall be doing everything possible to address the grinding poverty that we have in our states.
The governorship candidate of SDP, Yakubu Muritala Ajaka, told sons and daughters, including traditional title holders of Kogi descendants, that come November 11th, another opportunity will present itself for them to choose that individual who they believe will return the glory of Kogi State and deliver her people from the different challenges.
By the grace of God, when we win, come November 11, Kogi is going to change for the better. The issue of civil servant, percentage salaries, and the problem of the pensioners, we are going to end it. We are ready for our people. What we beg of them is to give us their vote, and we will do the rest.
Igala General, Lagos State, charged the governorship candidate to do more regarding women and youth empowerment.
And the moment he gets there, we are all hoping that he will do the right thing.
The owner of Igala General, Lagos State, urged Kogais to come out en masse to cast their ballot for the right candidate.
So what we want is Ajaka, and we are begging Nigeria to give us our preferred candidate.
So we want him to actually improve on the educational standard in Kogi State.
The supporters were advised to maintain peace and shun social vices before, during, and after the election. In Lagos, Diana Ajale, NTA News.
Still watching the news on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. Do not forget to follow this broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on the screen for updates. Nationwide will continue with Ladidi in Maiduguri Network Center after this time out. To stay with us.
Good to have you join us. Sustained intelligence sharing and wider collaboration between all security organizations have been identified as basic towards tackling internal security challenges within the Northeast region. This was the main focus of the discussion at the 12th edition of Northeast Zonal Conference of State Directors of Security, Department of State Services, held in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital. Abubakar Musa reports.
The 12th edition of Northeast Zonal Conference of State Directors of Security of the Department of State Services, comprising 6 commands within the zone, is in furtherance of sequence of such quarterly conferences. Introduced by the State Security Service, the conference is basically to bring directors within the Northeast Zone together to deliberate on specific security situation of their respective states, share experiences on identified basic and contemporary security threats affecting the region, as well as adopt practical measures in neutralizing them. Declaring the event open, Governor Babagana Umara, represented by the Commissioner for Information and Internal Security, reassured continuous support to all armed forces and paramilitary organizations and called on them to ensure they operate within laws of armed conflict and avoid extrajudicial killings.
Intelligence remains very important in all operations, in peacetime and in wartime.
We are confronted with the same problem and we should provide similar solutions.
Participants, including representatives of the Shehu of Borno, gave far-reaching inputs towards strengthening intelligence acquisition efforts and ensuring the utilization of assets, platforms and resources for the purpose of developing a collective zonal perspective for national security and intelligence management. In Maiduguri, Abubakar Musa, NTA News.
Underrepresentation of women in politics and positions of decision-making constitute a serious deficit which undermines the legitimacy of contemporary democratic ideals. Wife of Borno State Governor Dr. Falmata Zulum stated this during the unveiling of the Zola Resource Center for Nigerian Women in Politics held in Maiduguri. Pauline Kujavana has details.
That was the official unveiling of the Northeast Zone Resource Center for Women in Politics, aimed at empowering them to aspire to grow in politics towards having an appreciable number of them comes 2027 general elections. Representative of the wife of Borno State Governor, Permanent Secretary in the Office of the Head of Service, Aisha Abdurrahman, assured to maximize the center with possibility to replicate same across the 3 senatorial districts of the state to create more access and benefit to rural women.
As women, we have been struggling to actualize the 35% affirmative action across all the BRICS.
Director General Mariam Babangida National Center for Women Development, Dr. Asabe Vilita Bashir, and UN Women Country Representative to Nigeria and ECOWAS, Beatrice Eyong, expressed concern over low participation of women in politics in this part of the country and urged them to use the center to build in their political capacity. National President Women in Politics, Ebere Ifendu, among other representatives from the Northeast Zone, expressed hope that the center, as means to supporting women, will empower and improve their ability to enable them compete with men in the general elections. The center will bring together Northeastern state women to discuss and drive for the support, promotion, and participation of women in politics in the zone and Nigeria at large. In Maiduguri, Pauline Kujevana, NTA News.
That's our contribution from Maiduguri. Nationwide continues with Naja Atu in Abuja. Naja Atu, over to you.
Thank you, Ladidi. Welcome back to our Abuja studios. The new Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Abubakar Atiku, has promised to hit the ground running by initiating policies which will drive the country's economic growth to double digits. Neka Oko reports that the Minister of Education also promised to turn around the Education Ministry in a short while.
The Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, a seasoned economist with an impressive track record, highlighted the importance of sustainable economic development. He emphasized that achieving double-digit growth would require steadfast efforts, inclusive policies, and collaboration with key stakeholders. He outlined his strategic priorities, including harmonization of planning frameworks, monitoring and evaluation of plans, and the implementation, as well as implementation of social protection policy.
The newly approved social protection policy will be given special attention in order to assuage the growing challenges of need and access to improved livelihood conditions. In its implementation will pay special attention to social inclusion, welfare, and the cardinal responsibility of states and local governments as vehicles of outreach to the citizens.
Similarly, the Minister of Education, Mamman Tahir, has described the ministry as strategic in the quest to develop the country and craved for teamwork from staff to deliver as expectations are high.
We have to have measurables that will govern us. We shall be working with KPIs. If it is monthly, 3 times, 4 times in a year, let us all now recycle ourselves.
Our president has promised Nigeria renewed hope and also renewed hope in education. We have a lot of challenges, but I believe with cooperation, collaboration, and togetherness, we are going to overcome the situation and will make history.
In Abuja, Nekauku, NTA News.
Meanwhile, hard times await terrorists and other criminals across the country following the proposal for a timeline to end security threats by the Ministers of Defense and Police Affairs, while tasking personnel to redouble efforts in promoting internal security, especially now that the ministers have assumed duty.
From now on, I'll ask the service chiefs to give me a timeline and the requirements on how we'll begin to solve these problems one by one. And this timeline and the targets will be passed on to the president, and trust me, he will be monitoring us.
Our armed forces must be modernized and strengthened through investment in advanced weaponry, intelligence gathering capabilities, surveillance system and cyber defense infrastructure.
Arriving their ministry, the Ministers of Police Affairs are received by top management, then ushered into the conference room where a full briefing on their mandate is given.
I firmly believe that a police force that is efficient, professional and accountable is essential for the well-being and progress of our society. Therefore, I am here to solicit your unwavering support and cooperation in implementing the policies and programs that will drive this ministry.
We work as a family, as a team, because teamwork makes the dream work. The welfare of staff is our priority.
The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry has given the ministers assurance of commitment of staff in achieving this mandate. Now, the University of Calabar has formally constituted a 7-man panel to investigate the allegation of misconduct leveled against the suspended Dean of Faculty of Law, Professor Cyril Ndifon. The committee has as chairman Professor of Philosophy, Professor Dorothy Oluwagbemi Jacob, while the Deputy Registrar, Postgraduate School, Barrister Gabriel Orok, serves as secretary. Vice-Chancellor of the University, Professor Florence Obi, who inaugurated the committee, says the institution has no special vested interest in the case, but is concerned about the pursuit of justice. So any interested parties will be granted observer status during the investigative proceedings. The chairman of the panel, Professor Dorothy Oluwagbemi Jacob, notes that since the issue has generated wider interest, the panel intends to base its findings on truth and not sentiment. The committee is to submit its recommendations to the management of this institution within 2 weeks. Diba Bari is in Port Harcourt.
Thank you, Najatu, and welcome to Port Harcourt. Economic experts have called for a reduction in the cost of governance and more investment in capital projects as necessary steps needed to stabilize Nigeria's economy. Joy Uza reports.
Research indicates that Nigeria has in recent time experienced 2 recessions, high inflation, naira devaluation, and dwindling foreign reserves. There is also a rise in public debt, estimated by the Debt Management Office, DMO, to be 37% of the gross domestic product, GDP. Expert analysis also indicate that the global cost of borrowing is rising, which makes potential borrowing more expensive. But worrisome to them is the fact that large chunk of the sum of these resources are expended on recurrent expenditure.
Tell me what a governor in Nigeria needs a dispatch rider for. What for? If I tell you how we stop fuel, we used to have a fuel dump when I was governor. Fuel dump. It was costing us almost 30 million a month. I said, what is it? They say, hey! I said, shut it down. Bring down the convoy. My convoy is 5 vehicles.
The more you do appointment, the cost of governance will be high. it will also lead to borrowing. We'll be having less of capital development than in recurrent expenditure. All the budget goes to recurrent expenditure. That's increment in cost of governance. So by the time you reduce recurrent expenditure, then you have reduced cost of governance. And that is better good. That's better management of economy when your capital expenditure is higher than recurrent.
Economic reforms, they note, need to be implemented, and cutting the cost of governance must be a priority. The effort made by President Bola Tinubu's administration to bring economic stability to Nigeria to respondents is commendable, but more short-term policies are required.
Turn SMEs from non-formal to formal sector of the economy. Then you have agri sector, like what we are talking here now. That is what is called empowerment. They're empowering the economy. The other one, you are not empowering the economy, you are empowering people.
As the current administration continues to consider other ways to revamp the economy, respondents say priority must be channeled to cut the cost of governance and invest more on meaningful projects that have triple effect on the generality of Nigerians. In Port Harcourt, Joy Uzo, NTA News.
Akwa Ibom State Government will join hands with the National Population Commission to ensure a successful and accurate 2023 National Population and Housing Census in the state. The Deputy Governor, Senator Akon Ayakenyi, gave this assurance when she received in audience the team of NPC Akwa Ibom State in her office. Kelvin Samuel reports.
As preparations ahead of the 2023 National Population and Housing Census continues, there is the need to carry all critical stakeholders along in ensuring the best outcome. Hence, this visit by the team of National Population Commission, Akwa Ibom State, led by the Federal Commissioner, Benedict Ukpong, to brief the Deputy Governor on their achievements so far, as well as the areas that requires state government collaboration, especially in security and publicity committees.
The conduct of a successful census will provide the nation and the states with demographic data that supports evidence-based planning and development.
While commending the NPC team for the job well done and engaging sons and daughters of Akwa Ibom State, the Deputy Governor, Senator Akon Ayakenyi, assures that the RISE agenda of the Moinos administration is open and willing to accommodate all interests for a better Akwa Ibom State.
Data, we all know, in anything that one does is very, very important. Without you having the figures, knowing what to do, you might not be able to plan well. It's only when you have the data to know the population of the people.
The Deputy Governor was thereafter decorated as Census Ambassador. From the Government House, Uyo, Kevin Samuel, NTA News.
We're done here. The news will continue just right after the break. Good evening.
Welcome to JOS. Governor Kenneth Mutfwang has met with heads of security agencies in the state with a resolve to ensure adequate security of lives and property of citizens. Grace Akwe-Gotip reports.
The state has recently witnessed incessant attacks in communities, leading to loss of lives and property. As part of efforts to address security challenges, Governor met with the heads of all the security agencies behind closed door to review the security situation in the state. Shortly after the closed door meeting, Commissioner of Police Plateau State, Okoye Julius Alawari, says the meeting reviewed the security situation in the state towards finding lasting solution to it.
Issues were discussed, and but generally we agree that the current progress is coming down. That was wonderful, and intelligence reports and so on, and some things from His Excellency himself. We are going back to work on all these things so that we ensure that peace is restored.
Commissioner of Police Plateau State urged the public to support security personnel by giving them useful information that will assist in crime prevention. In JOS, Grace Akwe-Gotip, NTA News. Plateau State Commissioner of Police Okoro Julius Alawari is asking the 383 newly promoted officers in the command to show more commitment while discharging their responsibilities to the public. This was while decorating the officers in Jos. Alisa Patukari Andrew has details.
Officers consist 298 confirmed Assistant Superintendent of Police 2 and 85 Assistant Superintendent of Police 1 were inaugurated and decorated by the Commissioner of Police.
We are grateful to God Almighty and to our neighbor CP Plateau State. We want to assure him of our unflinching commitment to work.
Nigerian police will express more the best of my own ability to discharge my duty accordingly.
We pray that God will give us the wisdom and the knowledge to carry on with the responsibility.
The police commissioner reminded them of their responsibilities, particularly with the emerging crimes. He also advised them to ensure that their conduct is in line with the laid down rules and regulations.
Wherever you go, you must carry your tool as far, and you must behave accordingly. The style the Inspector General of Police is giving you is not for a joke. It's not for play. It is a sign of responsibility. So wherever you go, whether in uniform or outside the uniform, you must behave as an officer.
The Plateau State Police Commissioner Okoro Julius Alawari thereafter held the first security meeting with the officers under his command. In Jos, Alisa Botukari.
We seem to have lost the signal from our Jos Network Center. We apologize also for the poor audio in that report. Now, prominent sons and daughters of Osun State have rolled out the drums to celebrate one of their own, Adeboyiga Oyitola, as Minister of Marine and Blue Economy. Deborah Balagubu reports.
It was a gathering of party stalwarts, governors and former governors, including traditional rulers, to appreciate and celebrate the choice of Osun State born as minister, a position they believe is well deserved.
Nigerians were not surprised that there was a last-minute change in portfolio, because we believe that what His Excellency have seen in creating this new ministry, he believes that he needs something like His Excellency Oyitola to handle the assignment he's going to give out.
While appreciating the people, the minister said, despite the fact that the ministry is new, it will explore the concept for sustainable use of ocean resources for economic growth.
To be made a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria comes with a lot of responsibility. I pray that God Almighty will see me through. I'm heading a brand new ministry and I have to start from the scratch. And I believe our thoughts are around.
The Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy has been described as long overdue to enable the President to achieve the plans and programs for the renewed hope agenda. In Abuja, Deborah Balagubu, NTA News.
Governor May Malabuni of Yobe State has sworn in 20 new commissioners into the State Executive Council to drive the Yobe First agenda for sustainable socio-economic development of the state. While announcing portfolios of each of the commissioners, the governor reiterated zero tolerance for non-performance. Yunusa Suleiman reports.
Members of Yobe State Executive Council comprises 10 commissioners who served during Governor Buni's first tenure, while 10 others are coming in as first-timers under the governor's second term in office. Their swearing-in was preceded by legislative screening at the State House of Assembly, with Governor Buni reminding them to be leading figures in loyalty, sacrifice and good governance.
I wish to seize this opportunity to state in very clear and definite terms that you must embrace the principle of due process and transparency while executing the duties of your office. The era of carrying files and other forms of communication without regard to normal procedure and due process is over.
I'm going to appraise where we are
and also looking at the blueprint of the government, do all that is necessary. And with the support of the governor of Yobe State, we are going to take this tertiary education in Yobe State to the next level.
And as His Excellency has always said, it is always Yobe first. So we should all support them and give them that confidence to work for the success of this administration to serve the people better.
As all eyes are now on the new commissioners, citizens are expecting them to be instrumental in implementing policies and programs of the government for the attainment of Yobe First agenda for the overall development of the state. In Damaturu, Yunusa Suleiman, NTA News.
Let's now join our sports desk for updates.
40 fighters from various parts of the country featured in 8 weight categories.
Where we are launching our ranking system, we're actually going to use this, as the very first event to rank our pro athletes and also ranking of our amateur athletes.
The event afforded the Nigerian Mixed Martial Arts Federation the opportunity to select the best fighters to represent the country at the next African Championship, scheduled for Luanda, Angola, from the 13th to 17th of September 2023. With sports update, Olumide Guntola, NTA News.
Sports Update concludes nationwide this Tuesday. Thanks for always choosing NTA. I'm Naja Atutijani.